The Apostle Paul is probably my favorite author in the Bible. Just because he's writing from the experience of one who hated Christ and then got to know Christ. When you read and hear someone who's writing or singing from experience, it makes a difference. That's why I'm not into a lot of the new gospel music that's coming out, because they're no longer writing out of experience, but they're writing for money. They're writing to entertain. But I love to hear them songs where the verses tell a story, where the verses express something of experience. So I wanted to go to the Apostle Paul because in order to get this word across, I had to get somebody who has been through something. Anybody in here been through something? See, I don't know about y'all. Y'all can have anybody pray for you. You can have anybody witness to you. But if you really want to move me, get me somebody who's been through something. It might not be exactly what I've gone through or am going through, but the fact that you've been through something tells me you know how to get in tune with God. If you ain't been through nothing, don't pray for me. Wait until you go through first. So the 17th, actually the 16th verse of this 8th chapter reads, "The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if God, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer. If so be that we suffer with him." Somebody say with him. With him. "That we may be also glorified together." I want to talk for a few moments on the subject suffering saints. Suffering saints. Are you praying? Suffering will bring a crown of glory. Yet we must not fix our thoughts on our present sufferings. But we must look beyond the present life to the time when all suffering is over. There will be a crown in eternity. Now, I want to say that again in case somebody lost it for a moment. There will be a crown in eternity. There will be a crown for those that suffered with the Lord. There will be a crown for those that suffered for his name's sake. There will be a crown for those that suffered for his kingdom. There will be a crown for those that suffered for standing firm as a child of God, or suffered for preaching the word when others didn't want to hear it. There will be a crown in glory. Oh, my brothers and sisters, I'd rather go on serving the Lord Jesus Christ. No matter what suffering comes in my life, he's worthy to be served. No matter how many friends leave me or forsake me, he's still worthy to be served. No matter who talks about me, spreads rumors about me right here in the church, God is still worthy to be served. I'd rather serve Christ than to suffer the vengeance of eternal fire in the next world. I know we don't hear it a whole lot, but if you don't live saved, you're going to hell. That sounds a little mean. Sounds a little tough. There is a hell. There is a brimstone and fire. don't go to hell. How many times have you said to yourself, my temptations are great. My sufferings are overwhelming. Well, listen, my brothers and sisters, God would never tempt you above that which ye are able. But with every temptation and trial, he always makes a way of escape. God never puts any more on us than we as saints can bear. As a matter of fact, God trusts you so much, he allowed the mess you're going through to happen because he trusts you. Paul, if you remember, speaks of the suffering of his fellowship, or the fellowship of his suffering. No one of these days, or now, one of these days, we are going to heaven. And when we read the fellowship down here, groups that come together and have something in common is what we call fellowship. Pastor Ansel Smith would tell you fellowship is a bunch of fellows in the same ship. But I believe that when we get up in heaven, there's going to be a group called those who suffered for the Lord. And some of us might not be in that group because we've never suffered. But those that suffered will be in the group that's called the fellowship of his suffering. Have I got a witness? There's a little group around the Lord Jesus who are nearer to him than any other group. Out of all the disciples that Jesus had, there was only 3 that went everywhere Jesus went. James, Peter, and John. You can talk to Matthew about Jesus. Matthew can only tell you what he experienced while he was with Jesus. You can talk to the other disciples. They would tell you what they experienced while they were with Jesus. But if you want a true eyewitness, you've got to get somebody who's not only with him for a moment, but is with him all. That's why I'm wondering if there's any Christians here that can call yourself the Tri-Circle. Are there any Christians here who can say, I'm with Jesus all the time? Even when my friends aren't with him, I'm still there. Even when my family is not with him, I'm still there. I'm not there every once in a while like some church folk who come on every other Sunday, but I'm there with Jesus all. Hebrews 2 and 9, I'm almost done. Says, but we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of God, should taste death for every man. He suffered for us. You remember Moses. Moses chose to suffer affliction with the people of God rather than to enjoy the pleasure of sin for a season. Why? Because he looked unto the recompense of his reward. He looked toward the day when all the suffering would be over for the child of God. You know what you need to do when you're getting ready to throw in the towel? Just before you throw it in, stop and look a little further. Stop for a minute. And as Isaiah Thomas used to say,